بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. And welcome dear viewers. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to our program, The Skill of Dialogue in Islam, where we've been discussing various aspects of skill that we need to have healthy dialogue with others. We've been discussing the definition of a dialogue, the benefits of a dialogue, the significance of a dialogue, and having examples from the Quran of a dialogue of Musa with Fir'aun, of Ibrahim alayhi with his father, and then we come to the dialogue that the Messenger of Allah had with Utbah ibn Rabi' when he was sent by the Quraysh to entice the Messenger of Allah to stop giving da'wah or to weaken his call to Islam in Mecca. And Utbah came to the Messenger of Allah and he offered him. First, he said that the call that the Messenger of Allah was making was disruptive to the society. And then he said to him, I will make you certain offers and perhaps you will accept some of them. And then he went by the assumption that the Messenger of Allah has some ulterior motive for calling to the oneness of Allah. So he said to him, if you're after money, we'll collect the money between us until you have more money than anyone. He assumed that perhaps the Messenger of Allah wanted to have honor. So he said, if it's honor that you want, then we will make you our leader, and we will make no decision unless you are part of it. He assumed that perhaps the Messenger of Allah wanted to be the king. He said, if you're after being a king, and then we'll make you our king. He assumed that perhaps the Messenger of Allah was sick, so he covered that aspect. And if this thing you get is an hallucination, then we will get a doctor for you, and we will pay until you're well. The Messenger of Allah is listening to all of these proposals from Utbah ibn Rabi'. He's listening quietly. As a matter of fact, after Utbah said that he was disruptive to the society and he would make proposals, the Prophet ﷺ's only reply to him was, speak about what need, I will listen. So after he was finished, the Messenger of Allah asked him, was he finished? When he said that he was, the Messenger of Allah began to recite verses from the Quran, the Surah Al-Fatiha. He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Hameen. Tanzeenum min ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A revelation from Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Afwan, the Surah Al-Fusilat. كتاب فصلت آياته قرآنا عربيا لقوم يعلمون. A book whereof the verses are explained in detail. A Quran in Arabic for people who know. بشيرا ونذيرا فأعرض أكثرهم فهم لا يسمعون. Give glad tidings of paradise to the one who believes in the oneness of Allah and fears Allah much and loves Allah much, performing all types of good deeds for the sake of Allah. And a warning of punishment in the hellfire for those who disbelieve in the oneness of Allah. But most of them turn away, so that they do not hear. The Messenger of Allah recited the verses of Surah Al-Fusilat until he reached the point where there was a prostration, a sajda. And then he prostrated, he made sajda. Rabi' listened with his hands behind his back. When the Messenger of Allah finished, he said, Abad Walid, you have heard what you have heard, and that is for you. Meaning, now, what will you choose to do? When we examine the dialogue of the Messenger of Allah with Utbah, we see a number of benefits from this dialogue. For example, he listened carefully to Utbah. 2, he said to Utbah, "Proceed, Abu Walid, I am listening." He called Utbah Abu Walid, which is known as a kunya in Arabic language, which a person is named after his son or daughter, the father of. By doing this, instead of calling him by his name, he exhibited fine etiquette. The Arab people like to be referred to by their kunya. So the Messenger of Allah showed knowledge of the Medu'in, the ones he was calling to, because the person is going to call is going to speak about the religion to others. He must have knowledge of the da'wah, its nature. He must be a person who represents the religion as the da'i, the caller. He must have knowledge about the people who he's calling, something about their habits, about their culture, about their likes and dislikes. He must have some knowledge about them. And last but not least, he must have the proper means to call them. When Utbah finished, the Prophet ﷺ gave him an opportunity to add more to his speech in case he had forgotten something. Unlike people who cut people off because they're so busy trying to respond that they can't even hear half of what someone says because they're busy trying to respond. He said, "Are you finished, Abu Walid?" That showed that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ was an excellent listener. He gave Utbah an opportunity to renew his thoughts without rushing him. When he was sure that Utbah was finished, he began with the recitation of the Quran. This is an embodiment of good manners and good taste. The Quran spoke for him. The word of Allah was his speech at the time of his dialogue. Doing this opened the soul of the other party to listen. This recitation was an excellent beginning and ended with a prostration. So the Messenger of Allah ended with his own submission. When an act of worship in front of Utbah, he submitted a prostration. Then he said to Utbah, "You have heard what you have heard, and this is for you to make a decision." Everything that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ did with Utbah focused his attention and prepared him to listen and absorb what the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said. Therefore, it is no surprise that Utbah's companions, when he returned to them, they said, "O Abu Walid, he has enchanted you with his tongue." No such thing. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ used the proper manner, the proper etiquette, and then read from the revelation that was sent by Allah to read to people. Having a merciful approach in dialogue is also very important. To be merciful, to show mercy. Having a merciful approach in a dialogue is a means to express concern and affection for the other party involved in the discussion, rather than wait for others to make mistakes so that they can mercifully attack them. And this is the style of people, trying to find blame. Sometimes when people speak, they begin their speech with casting blame. And this is what Utbah did. When he spoke to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he tried to cast dispersions, blame upon his call. You have disgraced our gods. You have brought a terrible thing to our community, and you have brought shame to us. He started with blame finding, trying to find blame on the Messenger ﷺ. But this approach of not beginning with blame, but beginning with showing concern and not waiting for an attack, was something that we see from the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and something that we can use, that we can use in our dialogues with people. However, people who use a merciful approach instead of the blameworthy approach, to find blame, those who want to have a merciful approach want to help people choose the right course of action. And they are happy for others when they understand and begin to do what's best for themselves. Just like a father is happy for his child, or a mother is happy for her child when she sees that the child was doing something incorrect and they corrected them and they begin to do the right thing. Happy like that. Allah Azza wa Jal praised His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when He said, وَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَظًّا غَلِيظًا الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. And by the mercy of Allah, you dealt with them gently. And had you been severe and harsh-hearted, they would have broken away from you. This is found in Surah Al Imran, which is the third surah, verse 159. So Allah's mercy to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ and to his companions, may Allah be pleased with them all. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, may Allah raise his rank and grant him peace, was kind. He was gentle. He was easygoing. He didn't snub people or treat them with contempt. Rather, he was sent as a mercy to the worlds. As the words of the Quran say, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And we have sent you, Muhammad ﷺ, not but as a mercy to the alameen, mankind and the jinns and all that exist. Surah Al-Anbiya, which is the 21st surah, verse 107. There are many fine examples of the Messenger of Allah's example of how he dealt with people in need of guidance. On one occasion, a young man came to the Messenger of Allah and asked permission to commit fornication. And Abi Umamata قال أن فتى شابا أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عليه السلام وقال يا رسول الله ائذن لي في الزنا فأقبل القوم عليه فزجروه قالوا مه. Abu Umama reported, a young man came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said, O Messenger of Allah, give me permission to commit fornication. The people turned to rebuke him by saying, quiet, quiet. This must have been devastating to some people, that a man would walk into the masjid and in the open, unabashedly, without shame, ask the Messenger of Allah to permit him to commit fornication. فقال أذنه فدنا منه قريبا قال فجلس قال أتحبه لأمك قال والله جعلني الله فداءك قال ولا الناس يحبونه لأمهاتهم. The Prophet said, come here. Now look at this. This young man, publicly, openly, asked the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, can he commit fornication? Fornication and adultery are destructive to society. They are a major sin. And the people responded to reprimand him. But the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, come here. Come closer to me. The young man came close. He told him to sit down. The Prophet ﷺ said, would you like that for your mother? The man said, no. By Allah, may I be sacrificed for you. And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, people would not like that for their mothers. قال أتحبه لابنتك قال لا والله يا رسول الله جعلني الله فداءك قال ولا الناس يحبونه لأبناتهم. The Messenger of Allah said, would you like that for your daughter? The man said, no. By Allah, may I be sacrificed for you. He said people would not like that for their daughters either. قال أو تحبوه لأختك؟ قال لا والله جعلني الله فداءك. قال والناس لا يحبونه لأخواتهم. The Prophet ﷺ said, would you like that for your sister? The man said, no. By Allah, may I be sacrificed for you. He said the people would not like that for their sisters. People don't like that for their mothers. And people don't like that for their daughters. And people don't like that for their sisters. قال أفتحبه لعمتك؟ قال لا والله جعلني الله فداءك. قال ولا الناس يحبونه لعماتهم. قال أفتحبونه لخالاتك؟ قال ولا والله جعلني الله فدائك. قال ولا الناس يحبونه لخالاتهم. And the Messenger of Allah said, would you like that for your aunts? In this case, the Prophet asked him, because in the Arabic language, there's a different name for the aunt that comes from the father's sister, and the aunt which is the mother's sister. The aunt which is the father's sister is the ammah, and the aunt which is the aunt which is the father's sister is the amma, and the aunt which is the mother's sister is khala. He asked them both questions. Would you like that for your father's sister, your aunt? No. Or your mother's sister, that aunt? No. Both, he asked him. He said no. And then he said people don't like that for their aunts either. So then the Prophet said to him, فوضع يده عليه وقال اللهم أغفر ذنبه وطهر قلبه وحصن فرجه فلم يكن بعد ذلك الفتى يلتفت إلى شيء. Then the Messenger of Allah suddenly placed his hand on him and he said, "O Allah, forgive his sins, purify his heart, and guard his chastity." After that, the young man never again turned to anything sinful. وفي الرواية أخرى فقال له فاكره ما كره الله وأحب لأخيك ما يحب لنفسك. Another narration said the Prophet said to him, then hate what Allah has hated, and love for your brother what you love for yourself. And with that, Ibadallah, I'll end this session, and more about this in our next episode, inshallah. هذا وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.